Hey guys, today we will discuss a failed weapons system that isn't from the US. It's from the land of Crocodile Dundee. Metalstorm Limited, based in Brisbane, Australia, was a pioneering research and development company known for its advanced electronically initiated superposed load weapons technology. J. Mike O'Dwyer founded the company and held proprietary rights to this revolutionary electronic ballistics technology, which inspired Metalstorm. The key innovation in Metalstorm's arsenal was superposed load technology. This technique involves stacking multiple projectiles nose to tail within a single gun barrel, with propellant placed between each projectile. This design is reminiscent of a Roman candle, a type of firework in which the propellant ignites the following charge as it burns down the barrel. This unique approach allows for the sequential discharge of projectiles from a single ignition, significantly enhancing firing capability. Metalstorm had explored various methods to ignite each propellant package, developing a shoot-on-demand feature. When applied to modern firearms, this feature enabled rapid and continuous firing, representing a significant advancement in weapon technology. The Italian inventor Giambattista della Porta introduced the concept of superposed loads in firearms in 1558. In the 1790s, gun designers created the experimental Chambers gun in Pennsylvania. This unique 7-barrel tripod-mounted volley gun operated similarly to the Metalstorm gun, utilizing superposed loads. However, due to their high cost and impracticality, neither superposed small arms nor mounted guns were adopted for military use. In the early 1990s, Mike O'Dwyer observed that existing methods were ineffective in addressing the issue of unintended propellant ignition. Highly pressurized hot gases could leak past remaining projectiles in the barrel, a phenomenon known as blow-by, which had the potential to ignite their charges. O'Dwyer's original Metalstorm patents provided a solution by arranging projectiles in a series along the length of the barrel. This design allowed combatants to fire projectiles sequentially and selectively, reducing the risks associated with unintended propellant ignition. In the original Metalstorm patents, an electronically fired primer ignited the propellant located just behind the projectile closest to the muzzle of the gun barrel. This ignition would set off the projectile and generate a reactive force that pushed the stacked projectiles backwards. Metalstorm designed the remaining projectiles to deform under the force to accommodate this, expanding radially against the walls of the gun barrel. This expansion created a seal known as obturation, which prevented the hot propellant gases, expanding behind the lead projectile, from leaking past and prematurely igniting the other propellant charges within the barrel. The design allowed for the ignition of each propellant charge selectively and electronically, unlocking the projectile in front and propelling it down the gun barrel, while reinforcing the radial expansion and seal between the remaining projectiles and the barrel wall. Subsequent designs removed the concept of a distorting shell sealing against the barrel. They adopted a new system incorporating the propellant within skirts that form the rear part of each projectile. These skirted projectiles differ from conventional shells and cartridges in that the skirts are an integral part of the projectile and are open-ended at the back. When a soldier fires a projectile, the nose of the projectile, following it in the barrel, creates a rearward seal for the skirt. This firing generates a backward impulse on the remaining projectiles stacked in the barrel. As a result, the skirts of these remaining projectiles compress against the heads of the following shells, effectively creating a seal that prevents the hot gases in the barrel from unintentionally igniting the propellant, thereby mitigating the risk of blow-by. Among the proposed and prototype weapons developed by Metalstorm was the impressive Bertha, a 36-barrel rig designed as a proof-of-concept demonstrator. This rig achieved an astonishing fire rate of 1 million rounds per minute. It fired 180 shots at approximately 27,777 rounds per minute from each barrel, lasting only 0.01 seconds, making it the fastest firing gun ever. When firing at maximum capacity with 1,600 barrels, the weapon achieved a theoretical maximum rate of fire of 1.62 million rounds per minute, creating a dense wall of 24,000 projectiles with just 0.1 meters of spacing between follow-up shots. However, it was limited in practicality to pressure issues that arose when firing while the previous projectile was still in the barrel. Metal Storm unveiled the prototype of the 36-barrel system in June 1997. The Metal Storm VLE, also known as the O'Dwyer VLE pistol, was a proof-of-concept demonstrator highlighting the potential for miniaturizing advanced weapon technology. Metal Storm developed several variants featuring either rear-inserted barrels or break-open frames. The most common version showcased in the TV series Future Weapons was 4 barrels, with 2 9mm lethal barrels and 2 50mm less lethal barrels. This VLE pistol also offered insights into how the company could further miniaturize the technology. Interestingly, Metal Storm's innovations captured the attention of popular culture, making an appearance in the fictional world of CSI Miami. In Season 6, an exaggerated version of the Bertha rig, referred to as the DX4 vaporizer, was featured. With its 229 barrels, this fictional weapon is often mistakenly associated with the actual Metal Storm technology online, highlighting the ongoing intrigue surrounding this advanced weaponry and its ability to captivate audiences. The Redback was part of a series of 40mm implementations of Metal Storm technology used in grenade launchers and mortars, where the variability in per-shot accuracy is less concerning. The Redback system was a 4-barrel remote weapon station derived from the Metal Storm Area Denial Weapon System ADWS. While Metal Storm designed the ADWS as an area saturation weapon that could be concealed and triggered as an alternative to permanent minefields, Metal Storm created the Redback to replace the MK-19 grenade launcher on vehicles and drones. It served both as an offensive weapon system and a counter-RPG system. Metal Storm initially intended early variants of the Redback to use air-bursting grenade projectiles developed by ST Kinetics, with each barrel capable of holding 4 shots. However, the later Firestorm version does not reference this feature and appears to function solely as an offensive weapon system. A larger variant called Firestorm Fury was proposed to the US Marine Corps as part of the Marines Mission Payload Module Non-Lethal Weapon System (MPM-NLWS) program. This system could mount between 4 and 30 barrels containing 6 grenades in each barrel. The goal was to develop a crowd control launcher capable of firing CS gas, stun grenades, or a wall of flashbangs. A soldier could mount this launcher on various platforms, including the Marine Corps Transparent Armored Gun Shield (MCT-AGS) for the Humvee. However, the US government awarded the MPM-NLWS contract to General Dynamics. Metal Storm introduced several innovative weapon systems, including an inductive electronic ignition system that ignites the propellant outside the barrel. They also developed a minigun featuring a belt of separate firing chambers. The MAUL multi-shot accessory underbarrel launcher was a semi-automatic, electronically fired 12-gauge shotgun based on Metal Storm technology. Metal Storm designed the MAUL to compete with pump or bolt action accessory shotguns like Knight's Armament Master Key and the M26 MASS. Soldiers could use the MAUL as an accessory weapon with various firearms like the M4 or M16 rifles. The MAUL featured a front-loading, 5-shot preloaded barrel and could fire standard slugs, shot, or less lethal rounds. A combatant could only use one type of load at a time. It could fire a variety of munitions, including both lethal options such as buckshot and slugs, and non-lethal options including blunt impact, door breaching, and frangible rounds, all preloaded into 5-round stacked projectile tubes. Metal Storm reported the first shoulder firing of the MAUL during tests conducted on April 24, 2009 at their facilities in Chantilly, Virginia. The 3GL was a 3-shot semi-automatic grenade launcher developed as an offshoot of the Australian AICW program. This launcher could be mounted on various weapons using Rail Interface System RIS rails or utilized as a standalone unit with a folding stock. It featured a breech loading mechanism similar to a standard underbarrel grenade launcher, UBGL. However, it employed proprietary grenade rounds designed so that the heads of the second and third loaded rounds fitted into the base of the round in front of them. This unique design allowed for stacked rounds without needing a preloaded barrel. The 3GL used a pseudo-caseless design system similar to VOG grenades, eliminating the necessity to eject spent casings. Instead of a direct electrical connection to ignite the propellants like other Metal Storm weapons, it utilized induction coils around the barrel for ignition. Unfortunately, this concept was unsuitable for carbines, as the bulky design would significantly unbalance any weapon more minor than a full-sized rifle when loaded. Despite its target weight of 5 pounds when loaded, it would still weigh 2/3 as much as a loaded M4 carbine. The main limitations of this technology relate to reloading and variable ballistics. Firstly, when a combatant emptied the barrel, all Metal Storm weapons, except for the 3GL model, once the shooter released the barrels, required the entire preloaded barrel or a barrel section to be replaced. Secondly, because Metal Storm designed the ammunition to be stacked in the barrel, each successive projectile traveled through a longer barrel, resulting in slight differences in ballistics, which significantly limited the practical applications of the technology to mortars and repeating area suppression grenade launchers, where varying accuracy is less of a concern. Additionally, the reliability and durability of the batteries and electronics pose challenges for Metal Storm devices. These systems are less dependable than mechanical firing pins, since they rely entirely on electrical ignition. Furthermore, because each shot required a longer barrel, Metal Storm weapons had a lower ammunition capacity than magazine or cylinder-fed guns of the same length. For instance, a Metal Storm version of a 5.56mm round, similar to the caseless round used in the Heckler & Koch G11, would require a barrel section measuring 39 inches in length to accommodate a 30-round STAN-AG magazine. In 2000, the Chinese government offered Metal Storm $100 million to further develop the technology in China. However, the company's founder, O'Dwyer, declined the offer and informed the Australian Department of Defence, which confirmed discussions but declined to comment on the details. Despite this, the concept behind the weapon system garnered interest in China, leading to research into its potential applications for naval vessels and armoured vehicles. This research even considered using the technology to intercept incoming anti-tank guided missiles. In June 2003, Metal Storm agreed to provide technology to Thunderstorm Firefighting Pty Ltd to develop a civilian application for its technology in bushfire fighting. On June 27, 2003, Metal Storm secured funding from the US military. In 2005, O'Dwyer left the company with a payout of $500,000, half of his stake valued at $43 million. He intended to sell it, but could not find a buyer for his shares. On November 19, 2007, the US Navy announced it would purchase grenade barrels from Metal Storm. In August 2010, Metal Storm signed a contract worth $3,365,000 with Papua New Guinea's Correctional Services Minister, Tony Amo, to supply 500 MAUL weapons and 10,000 less lethal barrels for use by correctional officers. However, it was unclear if any of these were delivered. Overall, the technology has not been particularly successful. However, MetalStorm produced a range of concepts and prototypes. In July 2012, the company suspended its shares and MetalStorm Ltd entered voluntary administration. Subsequently, their US-based subsidiary, MetalStorm Inc., filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy in October 2014. In August 2015, Defentex, an Australia-based defense research and development company, acquired MetalStorm's intellectual property, trademarks, and other assets to continue developing and commercializing the technology. In July 2018, Defentex formed a joint partnership to provide weapons pods for the experimental Cerberus UAV. In August 2022, Defentex sold 300 D-40 kamikaze drones to the Australian government, subsequently donating them to the Ukrainian ground forces. While ambitious and innovative, the US regarded MetalStorm as an impractical application of military technology. However, the fact that China was willing to invest $100 million in MetalStorm technology suggests they recognized its potential and are developing their systems based on that design. Perhaps MetalStorm sparked a trend of experimental technologies pursued by Chinese and Russian militaries. Where we see shortcomings and high costs, they may see opportunities for innovation. Given the current state of Western military capabilities, we may have missed an opportunity by being closed-minded to new technologies to vaporize us all.